Hi, I'm Charlotte Wiseman. I'm a positive psychology researcher and a mental fitness trainer. And I'm here to bring you a series of videos to help you adjust to this new period as we start to work from home and adapt to the current climate. As I said, I'm from an evidence-based scientific background, which means everything I give to you will be science-led, it will have an evidence base, and it will be really practical. So there'll always be a download with every video. Make sure you use that so that you can get the most out of the content I'm bringing to you. Also, I will continue to develop different workshops and videos, so please contact me if you've got any ideas of anything you'd like support with, and I'll try and create that for you. You can contact me at charlottewiseman.com. Today's workshop is going to be about 5 minutes, and we're just going to be talking about the importance of routine. Very important that we understand that routine is something that is fundamental when we're going through this time of change. When we have any sense of uncertainty or a change in our circumstance, what happens is we're naturally triggered into a stress response. It feels uncomfortable. That is totally normal. But what we know is that when we get put into that space, we can start to see the negative, we can start to be less able to think clearly, we can feel more emotional and less able to cope. By having a routine, we give ourselves a sense of stability. And that enables us to think clearly, to overcome problems, and to manage our emotions more effectively. So having a routine is really important, whether you're working or whether you've been put on a furlough or a job retention scheme. And the reason is that when we have a routine, it gives us a sense of purpose, motivation, and that supports our general well-being and our mood. So really important for you to think about these ideas regardless of your current working situation. On your handout, there's some spaces for you to think about the ideas I'm going to be talking about. Use that and then have a thought about what else you can think might help you in the future, and let me know. So to start with, making sure you get up at a regular time every day is really important. What it does is when we start to get up at the same time and go to bed at the same time, the body learns that and it helps our natural body clock and our rhythms. So then it will become easier to get to sleep and easier to get up in the morning. It's also important that we don't hit snooze. And the reason for that is initially when you wake up, there'll be a shot of cortisol into your system. Cortisol is often associated with stress, but it's not all about stress. Cortisol actually energizes us, so it's a very helpful chemical. And it gives us that burst of energy first thing in the morning. If you hit snooze, that cortisol starts to decline, which means when you try to get out of bed 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, you've got less of that energizing cortisol in the bloodstream, and it's going to be harder to get out of bed. So do get out of bed at a regular time and try not to hit snooze. Moving on from that, make sure you've got a morning routine of some kind. You might not be commuting, which might give you an opportunity to do something else with that time. Good examples are doing some exercise. It's a good time of day to be outside because there's less people around. Get outside, get some fresh air perhaps, or take some time to do some mindfulness, some meditation, sit down with a cup of tea and do some reading, but make sure you use that time. And then make sure you do have breakfast, get dressed, and start the day as if you were going to be starting a working day. By getting dressed, we prime the mind to know that we're getting into action, and this helps our motivation and our ability to focus. Also, it improves our sense of self-esteem. Once you've done that, if you are working, you can think about your workspace. So what is really going to enable you to do your best work? Does that mean you need to set some boundaries or some rules with the people you work with? Putting a note on the door, or perhaps having a rota as to who uses what spaces? Or is it perhaps that you need to think about creating an area for yourself that will enable you to work? So some people I know have got their ironing boards set up to have as stand-up work desks. Some people have found they find it better to work near a window. Others actually find that distracting and prefer to be away from a window. But think about what will help you. Preempt any distractions and manage those. That's the key here. We're then going to move into this idea of being conscious about our goal setting. So when you sit down to work, really want to focus on setting some goals for the day. The latest research is that we want to have fewer goals, but ones that are really, really clear. So I recommend one core work goal or one core productivity goal, a couple of sort of mini goals, which might be sending an email, following up on something, and then a personal goal every day. So while you're not going out in the evening, while you're not commuting or socializing externally, make sure you've got yourself a personal goal. Something like clearing out an old cupboard that you've been meaning to, or watching a specific something, learning something new, reading, but something that you set for yourself. We then need to think about throughout the day, making sure we take breaks. And we need to be conscious about those breaks. If we take breaks that are unplanned and haven't got any kind of time limit, what we tend to do is pick up our phone, scroll through some images, scroll through some messages, get distracted, make a cup of tea, and we take longer with our breaks and we get less benefit from them. To make the most of your breaks, you want to give yourself a time space, so anything between 3 minutes and 20 minutes is great. And in that time, allocate what you're going to do. Perhaps listen to a specific song, call someone specific and have a cup of tea over a video conference, do a practice of mindfulness, do 5 minutes of exercise, but be conscious and clear about taking those breaks. We need those breaks to refill our psychological resources to focus for the rest of the day. So at least 3 short breaks a day as a minimum. We then want to be conscious of making sure our nutrition levels are good. So not just snacking all day, drinking tea and coffee, but having 3 clear meals a day and staying hydrated. The brain is largely water, and if we haven't got the water we need in our body, then the brain, the neural connections can't be effective. So you want to make sure that you're drinking lots of water. At the end of the day, very important that we celebrate our success, notice what we've achieved, and have a marked transition into the evening. So anything like getting changed into something different, listening to a certain song, doing an activity, calling a friend and checking in with how you've done on your goals for the day, but do something to mark the end of your day. And then you can get on with your evening routine, making sure that you think about, again, connecting with others, having a personal goal, and really focusing on looking after yourself. Not too much tech time, making sure you're getting into bed at a regular time, and all of those other very, very regular pieces of advice you will have heard. I hope that's been useful. You've got the handout which talks through all of those points, and then you've got a space to think about what obstacles might arise and how you might overcome them. And that's just to help you through this goal setting process. Please do connect if I can help you any further, and I look forward to bringing you another video soon.